there is a hidden code that separates the eternal student from the true master. Today, you will learn exactly why most people remain stuck at the beginner level forever. Look around you. Why do some people pick up a guitar and shred within months? Why do they become fluent in a new language in a year, or build empires from scratch while others are still just figuring it out? The average person calls it talent. They look at a master and say, "He was born with a gift." That is the single greatest lie you can tell yourself. It is a convenient excuse to give up before you even start. The truth? The people who master reality don't have a magic gene. They possess a secret system, one you were never taught in school, never saw in college, and won't find in any online course. In feudal Japan, there was a methodology so potent it transformed dirt-poor peasants into lethal warriors and average craftsmen into legends whose work survived centuries. It had nothing to do with IQ. It had everything to do with three invisible thresholds: Shuhari. Once you understand how this works, you stop being the person who starts 1,000 projects and finishes 0. You become someone who commands mastery at will. But there is a price. To learn this, you must accept a truth your ego will hate. Before we unlock the system, make sure you subscribe and hit the like button. And tell me in the comments, what is the one skill you are desperate to master? Is it guitar, coding, a new language? Let me know below. Now, let's get back to it. Chapter 1: The Lost Apprentice. Our story begins in the dust of feudal Japan. Enter Yamato, a young peasant with a dream that ate him alive: to become a samurai. He had no bloodline, no crest, no right to the blade. He had nothing but an obsession that burned hotter than a forge. While the other village boys quietly accepted their destiny as farmers, Yamato studied the samurai passing on the road. He studied their stride, the steel in their eyes, the lethal command they held without speaking a word. He didn't just want it, he craved it more than oxygen. At 16, Yamato carved a wooden sword and began his war against mediocrity. He rose before the sun, mimicking the moves he had watched from the shadows. Horizontal cuts, vertical slashes, thrusts. Hours upon hours, day after day. 6 months later, he was exactly where he started. His movements were stiff. His body refused to obey his mind. The sword felt like a dead weight, foreign and clumsy in his grip. Frustrated, he turned to books. He devoured ancient scrolls on strategy, memorized the names of legendary strikes, and studied the philosophy of Bushido. His mind became a library of war, but the moment his fingers touched the handle, that library burned down. A full year bled away. Yamato remained nothing more than a peasant boy swinging a stick at the air, until the day everything changed. Chapter 2: The Meeting. One afternoon, as Yamato slashed at the air near the forest edge, a voice cut through the silence like a blade. "Your feet are wrong. Your posture is broken. Your breathing is pathetic. Everything you are doing is useless." Yamato spun around. Standing there was an old man with iron-gray hair, a roadmap of scars across his face, and the twin swords of a true samurai at his hip. Shame flushed Yamato's face. I am trying to learn on my own, sir. I have no master." The samurai circled him like a predator. "How long have you been at this?" "1 year, sir." "And have you improved?" The silence screamed the answer. The samurai snatched the wooden sword from Yamato's grip. "Here is your problem. You think you are training, but you are merely cementing your own incompetence. Every bad rep teaches your body how to fail with more precision." Those words gutted him. Yamato had spent a year practicing his own failure. "But how?" Yamato stammered, his voice cracking. "I've read the ancient scrolls. I've memorized the strategies. I know the moves." "That is exactly why you fail," the samurai snapped. "You are trying to build a castle starting with the roof." You chase strategy before you can even stand. You try to innovate before you can imitate. You skip the only thing that matters, the path. The samurai locked eyes with the boy. There is a universal law of mastery. 3 stages. You cannot skip them. You cannot rush them. If you try, you will remain mediocre until the day you die. It is called Shuhari. What does it mean? Yamato asked. Shu, obey. Ha, break. Ri, transcend. 3 steps, 1 destination. Yamato bowed low. Please, teach me. The samurai studied him for a long, agonizing moment, then finally nodded. Be here at dawn, and prepare yourself, because the first stage is going to destroy everything you think you know about learning. Chapter 3. Shu, the Death of the Ego. Disclosures. Yamato was already waiting when the samurai emerged from the mist. Today begins Shu, the master said. In this stage, you do not think. You do not question. You do not improvise. You obey. You copy. You repeat exactly as I command, not an inch of deviation. The samurai dropped into a stance. Hold this. Yamato mimicked him. The master kicked Yamato's foot 2 centimeters to the left. He twisted his hip a single degree. He lifted his shoulder a fraction. Now breathe. 3 seconds in, 2 seconds hold, 4 seconds out. They held that position for 10 agonizing minutes. Yamato's legs were on fire. His mind screamed that this was pointless torture. Master, he finally gasped, when do we learn the real strikes? The samurai turned slowly, his eyes cold. You think posture is boring? You think breathing is trivial? That is why you will never be a samurai. Mastery is built in millimeters, not miles. Yamato swallowed his pride. Shu is not about being entertained, the master continued. It is about obeying until your body understands what your mind cannot. Every lethal technique you will ever learn depends on this posture, on this breathing, on these boring fundamentals. Weeks bled into months. Breathing, stance, basic movements repeated ad nauseum. No duels, no flash, just the grind. Yamato's mind fought him every day. This is too slow. I'm wasting my life. But beneath the surface, something was shifting. The posture that once burned now felt like home. The breathing that required focus now happened automatically. 3 months later, the master demonstrated a single horizontal cut. 1,000 times, he ordered, exactly as I did it. Not faster, not harder, identical. Yamato spent the entire week on that one strike. On the 4th day, during repetition number 400, it happened. His body executed the movement perfectly, without a single thought. It was as if the sword had its own mind. Did you feel it? The master asked from the shadows. Yamato nodded, speechless. That is Shu. When the technique enters the marrow of your bones and the mind is no longer needed. Most people never reach this state. Why? Because they think repetition is for the stupid. They think they are too smart to practice the basics. Science backs the samurai. Neuroscientists at the University of Tokyo found that it takes 300 to 500 repetitions for the cerebellum to even begin forming an automated pattern. After 1,000 correct reps, the skill migrates from the conscious mind to the automatic system. But if you change the movement before those 300 reps, the pattern breaks. You remain stuck in conscious mode, slow, clumsy, and exhausted, forever. Chapter 4. The Eternal Student Trap. 6 months of Shu forged Yamato into a weapon. He had mastered 12 basic techniques so thoroughly they were burned into his nervous system. One night, the master ambushed him in his sleep, demanding a vertical strike. Before Yamato's conscious mind even woke up, his body had already executed the cut perfectly. But as his skill grew, Yamato noticed a disturbing trend. He watched other students, men with years of training, who boasted of knowing hundreds of techniques. They were encyclopedias of war. They knew every kata, every ancient name. Yet, when they fought, they were hollow. They moved, but the movement didn't live inside them. "Master," Yamato asked one morning, "why do these men know 1,000 techniques yet fight worse than I, who only know 12? The samurai smiled, a rare, sharp thing. "You finally asked the right question. Those men are rotting in the eternal student's hell. They collect techniques like children collect toys. They jump to the next lesson before mastering the last. They mistake knowing for being." The master stepped closer. "Knowledge is just possessing the map. Mastery is having walked the territory so many times you could navigate it blindfolded. They have the map. You have the terrain." He walked to a nearby tree, his expression grim. "Shu gave you the foundation. You obeyed without question. You repeated until the steel became part of your arm. And now?" He paused, letting the silence hang. "Now you are ready to break." Yamato frowned. "Break? Break what?" The master looked back, his eyes intense. "Everything I just taught you." Chapter 5. Ha! The Dangerous Deliverance. In the Shu stage, you became a mirror. You reflected my every move, flawing nothing. That gave you roots. But if you stop there, you will never be a warrior. You will be nothing but a shadow. The samurai drew a circle in the dirt. Shu is this circle. These are the limits I placed upon you. Now begins Ha, the stage where you break the circle. But heed this warning. Most men confuse Ha with rebellion. They break the rules not because they have mastered them, but because they are too lazy to follow them. Ha is not about rejecting the lesson. It is about dismantling it to find the why hidden inside. You must understand the rules so deeply that you earn the right to bend them. That afternoon, the master introduced a stranger, a warrior from a rival school, wild-eyed and dangerous. For the next year, the master declared, you will train with him too. You will learn techniques that insult everything I have taught you. Yamato was terrified. But master, won't a contradictory style poison my foundation? If your Shu was weak, yes, you will crumble into a confused mediocrity. But if your Shu was true, you will do something extraordinary. You will stop seeing styles and start seeing the truth. And so the torture began. Yamato spent mornings with his original master, practicing low stances, economy of motion, and patience. He spent afternoons with the stranger, learning high stances, explosive aggression, and risk. At first, his brain short-circuited. The two methods were at war. But after 3 months, the fog lifted. Yamato realized that while the forms contradicted each other, the principles shook hands. Both masters were teaching the same physics: how to move energy, how to read intent, how to be present. You are beginning to see, the original master noted. Shu taught you the container. Ha is teaching you the contents. When you grasp the principle, the technique becomes a tool, not a prison. A year of this duality transformed Yamato. He was no longer a clone of either teacher. He was becoming a chimera. One morning, during a spar, Yamato absorbed a strike using the first master's grounding, then instantly countered with the second master's explosive fury. The transition was seamless. It was a move neither master had taught him. "What was that?" the second master asked, stunned. I don't know. It just felt right." The masters exchanged a look. "Ha is complete," the first master declared. "You are no longer obeying blindly. You are adapting wisely." But then the tone shifted. And this is where 99% of warriors stop. They reach Ha, become clever remixers of other men's techniques, and think they are gods. But Ha is still a cage. It is just a larger one. You are still tethered to what you have learned. There is a final stage, Re. Only 1 in 1,000 survives it because it demands a sacrifice most are too cowardly to make. You must forget everything. Chapter 6. Ri, the silent transcendence. Ri is the stage where the technique vanishes. The master explained, "You no longer use the techniques use you." Yamato frowned. "How can I fight without techniques?" "You will understand," the master said. "But first, a story. When I was young, I had studied the blade for 40 years. I knew 300 killing strokes. I had mastered 12 distinct styles. I was arrogant. Then, an old man challenged me. He was 80 years old, frail, barely able to walk. I accepted, thinking I would end it quickly out of mercy. He defeated me in 3 moves. But what terrified me wasn't the defeat. It was that he used no style I recognized. It wasn't style A or style B. It was nothing and everything. It was water, formless yet perfectly adapted to the instant. He told me, "Young man, you fight well, but you are still fighting. I stopped fighting long ago. Now, I just respond." "But how do I reach that?" Yamato asked. "Time, pain, and most importantly, you must stop trying." The next 5 years were the hardest of Yamato's life. The master stopped teaching. He simply threw Yamato into the pit, fighting every day against different weapons, different styles, different rhythms. At first, Yamato's mind was noisy. "Now I use the block. Now I use the counter." His brain was still sorting, labeling, and choosing. But slowly, the labels dissolved. He stopped thinking, "Do technique X," and simply did. Then came the day the dam broke. Yamato faced 3 opponents at once. In the chaos of steel and shouting, something inside him simply let go. He didn't remember making a single decision. His body flowed like smoke. He blocked, struck, spun, and dodged without a single conscious thought. It was as if he were a passenger in his own body, watching a god fight in his place. When the dust settled, 3 men were on the ground. Yamato stood there, breathing calm, rhythmic air, unable to recall a single move he had made. The master watched from the edge, a rare smile breaking his face. "You finally stopped fighting." "But I fought 3 men." "No," the master corrected. "Your body responded. There was no Yamato in there making choices. There was only pure response. This is Ri. You have transcended the technique. It is now so deep within you, you don't even know it's there." Science confirms the samurai. Researchers at Kyoto University studying embodied cognition found that when masters reach the highest level, the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for conscious decision-making, goes dark. The expert isn't doing the skill anymore. The skill is expressing itself through them. Neurologically, the dancer becomes the dance. The warrior becomes the sword. Chapter 7. The Nameless Master. Years bled away. Yamato was no longer the peasant boy dreaming in the dirt. He was a force of nature, a master. Young men traveled from distant provinces to kneel at his feet, and they all asked the same hungry question. "Master, how many techniques do you know?" Yamato's answer was always the same: none, and all. The students were baffled. They wanted metrics, they wanted lists, they wanted a syllabus. But Yamato understood a truth that only exists on the far side of Shuhari. Techniques are merely fingers pointing at the moon. Most people are so obsessed with the finger, they never see the heavenly glory it points to. One day, arrogance walked through the door. A young student challenged him. "Master, with respect, you claim to know nothing. My old instructor knows 500 distinct killing techniques. How can you possibly be superior?" Yamato calmly picked up a wooden sword. "Show me. Attack with any of your 500 techniques." The boy smirked. He unleashed his masterpiece, a complex, multi-stage attack he had drilled for years. Yamato didn't look like he moved. It was just a shift of weight, a tilt of the axis. The boy hit the floor hard, weaponless, staring at the ceiling, unable to process his own defeat. Yamato helped him up. "You used a technique just now," he explained softly. "A specific sequence with a name that you have memorized. It is good. It works. Usually." He tapped the boy's chest. "But I did not use a technique. My body simply became the answer to your question. It wasn't style A or style B. It was the perfect, unique response to a moment that had never existed before and will never exist again." Yamato looked at the class. "That is the difference. You are limited to your 500 options. If the situation demands option 501, you die. I have infinite options because I am not choosing from a library. I am creating the truth in real time." Chapter 8. The Universal Law. Yamato's story isn't a history lesson. It isn't just about swords and samurai. It is the blueprint for mastering absolutely anything in your life. Do you want to play the guitar? The path is Shuhari. Shu. You are a machine. You copy the solos note for note. You do not improvise. You do not add flavor. You imitate until the patterns are burned into your fingerprints. Ha. You break the mold. You mix genres, you dismantle the theory, you understand the why behind the chords. Re. You pick up the axe and the music simply happens. You are no longer playing a song, you have become the music. Do you want to master programming? Shuhari. Shu. You copy the code of the masters line by line. You follow the syntax without question. You build the foundation. Ha. You hack the system. You adapt the patterns to solve unique problems. You blend languages. Re. The syntax dissolves. You look at a problem and the solution flows through your fingers before you even think. The language is gone. Only pure logic remains. Do you want to build a business? Shuhari. Shu. Don't try to be a genius. Replicate the models that already print money. Don't reinvent the wheel. Learn how it rolls. Ha. You twist the model. You adapt it to your niche. You spot the universal principles that transcend industry. Re. You throw away the business plan. You intuitively feel what will work, reading the market's pulse the way a master reads an opponent's heartbeat. The path is always the same. Shuhari is not just ancient philosophy, it is the physics of deep learning. But there is a secret about this system that no one tells you, a final hidden trap that explains why most people, even those who try hard, never actually reach the finish line. Chapter 9. The Trap of the Modern Generation. The burning truth is this. Most people alive today will die without ever mastering a single thing. Why? Because they refuse to bend the knee to Shu. Think about it. How many times have you heard someone say, "I don't like following rules. I prefer to find my own way. I'm more creative when I improvise." That sounds noble, doesn't it? It sounds like independence, like genius. But it is a lie. It is your ego building a fortress to protect you from the uncomfortable truth. You don't want to find your own path. You want to avoid the agony of mastering someone else's first. If Yamato had said, "I'm a unique individual, I don't need to copy," he wouldn't have become a samurai. He would have been just another dead peasant who thought he was too special to learn. The modern world has been poisoned by a toxic myth that you should skip the fundamentals and go straight to self-expression. The result? A generation of dabblers. People who know a little about everything and nothing about anything. People with 47 half-started hobbies who say, "I tried guitar, but it wasn't for me," when in reality, they just didn't have the guts to survive the Shu stage. Let me be brutal. No fluff, just the raw truth. The reason you haven't mastered that skill isn't a lack of talent. It isn't a lack of time. It is because you are trying to start at Ha without suffering through Shu. You want the glory of mastery without paying the price of obsessive repetition. You want to play like a virtuoso, but you refuse to play scales for 6 months. You want to code like a god, but you won't copy the boring syntax of the masters. You want the 8-figure empire, but you won't study the dull business models that actually work. You skip Shu because it is boring, because it is humiliating to admit you know nothing, because you bought the lie that you are too unique to follow the path. As long as you believe that lie, you will remain mediocre. The truth that burns. There is no shortcut. The Zen monks knew this 800 years ago. The samurai knew this 400 years ago. Every master knows it today. There is only Shuhari. So here's your battle plan. Not Monday. Now. Choose one skill. Not 3, not 5. 1. The single skill that, if mastered in 3 years, would change your life. 2. Find a master. They don't need to be famous. They just need to be 10 times better than you. If you can't find one in person, find one online. But choose one. 3. Submit to Shu. Copy this person with obsessive precision. No my way, no creativity. Just perfect imitation. Will it be boring? Yes. Will you feel like a robot? Yes. Will people judge you? Yes. Good. That means you are doing it right. 4. Enter Ha. Only when the technique flows without thought do you earn the right to adapt. Combine styles. Question the why. Create variations. 5. Persist. This is not a 6-month hack. It is a years-long war. 6. Transcend into Re. One day, without realizing it, the thinking will stop. You will create solutions the world has never seen. You will return to the basics, but with new eyes. An Oxford University study of 500 world-class masters, from musicians to CEOs, found 0 exceptions. Every single expert followed this 3-stage pattern. First, 1 to 3 years of rigorous imitation. Second, 3 to 7 years of experimentation. Third, intuition. No one skipped the first stage, not even the prodigies. The only difference was the speed, never the sequence. The map is laid out before you. The path is clear. The only question left is, do you have the humility to walk it? Chapter 10. Yamato's Legacy. Yamato lived to be 87. He became a living legend, training hundreds of disciples. On his final day, surrounded by his most elite students, a young warrior asked him a question that silenced the room. Master, looking back, what is your greatest regret? Yamato closed his eyes for a long moment. Then he spoke. My only regret is not starting Shu sooner. I wasted an entire year trying to teach myself, arrogant enough to think I could find a better way. If I had bowed to a master on day 1, I would have gained an extra year of mastery. And an extra year of mastery is a treasure no amount of gold can buy. He looked each student in the eye. Do not make my mistake. If you want to master something, find someone who has already done it. Copy them without shame, without ego, without rushing to add your personal touch. Mastery isn't about being original from the start. It is about becoming so skilled that originality becomes inevitable. Those were his final words on the path. 3 days later, he died peacefully, knowing the chain remained unbroken. The path doesn't end, it transforms. And here is the secret very few people realize. Shuhari isn't about learning skills. It is about who you become in the fire of learning. The person you are right now, impatient, distracted, jumping from trend to trend, demanding results without process, that person will never experience true mastery. But there is another version of you, a version that has the patience to copy perfectly, the humility to admit ignorance, the discipline to practice the boring things 1,000 times, the wisdom to understand that the long road is actually the fast road. This version of you already exists. It is waiting for you to stop looking for shortcuts and accept the only path that works. Shuhari is a mirror. Look into it. What do you see? Do you see someone willing to start as a zero without ego? Or do you see someone still scanning for a hack, a cheat code, a way to avoid the work? Because only one of those people will make it. The question isn't, does the system work? The question is, are you willing to pay the price? Yamato was just a peasant. No talent, no lineage, no advantages. His only weapon was a willingness to obey before questioning, to imitate before innovating, to master the basics before seeking the advanced. That choice transformed him from a nobody into a name remembered for centuries. You have the same choice. Do you want to spend the next 5 years trying to reinvent the wheel, only to end up exactly where you are today, knowing a little about everything and nothing about anything? Or would you rather pay the price and become extraordinary? Mastery is waiting, but it won't come to you. You have to walk to it, step by step, repetition by repetition. Shu, then Ha, then Ri. The path is ancient. The path is tested. The path works. If this video woke something up inside you, subscribe now and hit the bell so you don't miss the next lesson. And tell me in the comments, what is the one skill you commit to mastering using Shuhari? Write it down below. Let it be your first step.